Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, Katie Arrington returns to DOD as its CISO. And the IRS is the latest agency to be sued by union groups over the DOGE's access to agency systems. It's Thursday, February 20th, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Here are today's top headlines. Katie Arrington has been named the Deputy Chief Information Officer for Cybersecurity and Chief Information Security Officer at the Department of Defense. She assumed the role effective February 18th. A familiar face, Arrington comes back to the Pentagon, where she was the Chief Information Security Officer for the department's Acquisition and Sustainment Organization during the first Trump administration. She was best known for starting the Pentagon's Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification program over 6 years ago, which aims to improve the cybersecurity posture of the defense industrial base and contractors by requiring minimum cybersecurity standards to bid on contracts. Arrington previously ran for Congress in South Carolina, and prior to exiting government during her last stint, she was embroiled in a scandal that saw her security clearance revoked before eventually reaching a settlement. In other news, as the Department of Government Efficiency sets its sights on accessing sensitive taxpayer data, a coalition of union groups and advocates is suing the federal government to block the Elon Musk associates from entering the Internal Revenue Services systems. In a lawsuit filed Monday in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, the Center for Taxpayer Rights, the Main Street Alliance, the National Federation of Federal Employees, and the Communications Workers of America allege that DOGE's access to IRS systems has harmed their constituents' privacy interests and exposed their private information to heightened risks. The plaintiffs claim that IRS defendants, the tax agency itself, Acting Commissioner Douglas O'Donnell, the Treasury Department, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent unlawfully permitted DOGE representatives to have broad access to tax return information, quote, in an arbitrary and capricious manner that does not comport with historical or existing IRS practice or policies, or consider the consequences of such access. The IRS defendants did not comply with statutorily required security protections for the data-rich systems they're charged with overseeing, the lawsuit alleges, in addition to disclosing personal data contained in tax records without obtaining consent or following Privacy Act requirements. DOGE defendants, meanwhile, are accused of breaching secure government systems and unlawfully disclosing the personal data of tens of millions of individuals. The plaintiffs are asking the court to cut off DOGE's access to IRS systems and order them to delete any information they acquired from those systems or devices after January 19th, as well as remove any software the team has installed on IRS systems while barring it from adding any additional tools moving forward. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. The Daily Scoop podcast is available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back next week with brand new episodes. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.